Hey everybody, it's Fernando from the Rollback Podcast, and today I'm going to be doing a video review, which I normally don't do, but I have some time, and I've been really busy with work and with everything else, just have not had the time, but I have some time now, so I thought might as well do a review over Avatar. Not the second one. Still waiting on Eddie to watch it because he is very irresponsible and takes forever to do things. But yes, today we are reviewing James Cameron Avatar. Now, the first Avatar, I know that there's like this whole thing that he had wrote the story, I think back in the 90s, and he just never had the technology to do it the way that he wanted to. And then along came 2009, where with great what's the word for it, technological advances, he was finally able to make the movie that he was comfortable with and comfortable with putting out. Now, so the running joke with Avatar is that it is Pocahontas to blue people. Is it warranted? The bare bones of it is kind of like Pocahontas to blue people. Now, is it far and away more complex than Pocahontas with blue people? Yes. We're dealing with this infiltrating world, us, the Earthlings, infiltrating Pandora and trying to pretty much mine a precious metal from them. Unoriginal in the name, unobtainium. Yeah, just that name is just so cliche. But yes, that's the metal that they are mining, and we have our characters. Our main character, Jake Sully, who is a veteran who was enlisted for this program because his brother was mugged, his twin brother, and they had $1 million avatar sitting pretty much going to go to waste because it was made specifically for his brother. So now they brought him in so that they can use it and so they can get something out of it. He is constantly in a battle within himself because he has fallen in love with the chief's daughter of the Na'vi tribe, and he also wants to have his legs back because when he enlisted, the colonel who was on base told him, hey, if you do this for me, if you get me information on the Na'vi, I will get you your legs back when you go home, because I mean, he's handicapped, and who doesn't want their legs back? So he's constantly conflicted with that because he begins to grow feelings for these people and he doesn't want to hurt them. He wants to make it as peaceful as possible. Granted, in the beginning, it probably wasn't that way, but when he finally moved in with them, they took him in as their own, they taught him their ways, he became pretty much conflicted. He didn't know what to do. So my general thoughts about this movie, I saw this movie in 2009 when it released. I believe I saw it on Christmas. I saw it on Christmas by myself. My family wanted to go watch something else, and I was like, nah, I kind of want to watch this movie. And I saw it in theaters. I was just like, man, this is actually a really good movie. Didn't see it in 3D. I know that was the big thing. Like, you have to see it in 3D. You have to see it in 3D. But I was like, nah, I'll just watch it in 2D. So I watched it in 2D. My initial reaction, if I can remember that far back, because it's been over 10 years, I liked it. I really did like it. I remember buying it on DVD and thoroughly enjoying this movie. It's good story, great characters. James Cameron himself, I mean, proves why he's a really good director. Has it aged well? I think so. I think it aged pretty well. So I bought this movie on DVD. I ended up buying it on the extended edition on Blu-ray. And the Blu-ray doesn't really, it adds some scenes, but it's nothing that you're like, oh man, I needed to see this scene because or else this movie wouldn't make sense. It wasn't really like that. It was just nice little tidbits, and I think that's the best way to do those extended versions. My favorite extended versions are the Lord of the Rings movies, because it adds to the movie, but it doesn't lessen what the movie already had, meaning that they didn't need to have this footage in there. It just had it in there because it was awesome. So I feel like that's the best way to go about it, and I felt like the Blu-ray did that. Now, rewatching it, I was just thinking like, it's crazy because this movie has been out for over 10 years. It's been released in theaters multiple times, and no 4K edition for this movie. Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit series has 4K editions. This one does not. No 4K, nothing. HD all the way. I wonder if that is a creative choice with James Cameron, if he's like, no, I'm not going to do that, it won't look good in 4K, or if that's just how it is. I mean, because to me, that is one of the strangest things. Pretty much any movie they can remake in 4K, they will do it. They've done it with Die Hard. They've done it with National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. They've done it with so many movies. Like, it's crazy that this movie does not. That's the interesting factor about this. Now, I guess now rewatching it, you know, I was like, this movie is good. I know it gets a lot of flack. I think especially after it's been out for so many years, and then with all the rumor mill of Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think that annoyed people also. So it kind of made people like get into this hate of Avatar, which I don't think it's really warranted. It's not really fair. I'm sure I've made jokes about this movie, but this movie is really well done. It has a great cast. Is it worth watching again? Absolutely. It's not as long as the second one. The second one is like 3 hours. This one, I think the theatrical cut is about an hour. I mean, not an hour. I wish it was an hour. It's like 2 hours and 42 minutes, I believe, which isn't bad. A little long. But no, like, this movie is really good. Well done. I think the big thing to look at in this movie is the FX, is the special effects. Do they hold up? Do I think they hold up? Yes. It's not something that is as dated as Lord of the Rings. For example, some of the FX in Lord of the Rings, especially like Fellowship, Two Towers, even Return of the King, some of it can get a little wonky. But for this one, I believe most of it holds up. There may be some frames that don't work, but for the most part, I think it works really well. I think for me, what was crazy is like some of the people I forgot that were in this movie. Like Michelle Rodriguez, forgot she was in this movie. Well, one spoiler alert, she dies, and that's why she's not in the second one. There is one thing that I didn't notice, and they don't really mention in the second movie, is that the avatars, the ones of the humans have 5 fingers. The Na'vi have 4. Didn't really notice that in the first movie until the second movie, because there's a part in the second movie where the kids of Jake are getting picked on because they have 5 fingers, that they're half-breeds. So yeah, I didn't really notice that the first time, and now looking back on it, they never even really brought that up, the fact that they have 5 fingers as opposed to 4. And it makes sense, mostly because it's just like you have these human minds assimilating to these avatar bodies, so to make it as easy as possible, you need to make the bodies as physically capable as possible, which makes sense. But yeah, that was just one thing that popped out of my head. But overall, when I watched this movie, yeah, people may joke about it. People probably are annoyed of just the Avatar franchise as a whole because of like all the backpedaling, how long it took for the second movie to come out. But I do think the first movie is great. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's warranting any like making fun of it or anything like that. I just think that, I mean, it's a joke. Like, if you can't take a joke, then you shouldn't be saying anything. But as for me, I would definitely give this movie, if I did a star rating, I'd probably do 4 out of 5. Mostly because I don't think the movie's perfect, but I don't think it's horrible either. I think it's right in that sweet spot of it's really good. But yeah, I think I feel comfortable with giving it that rating. Other than that, I really can't think of anything else. Looking forward to doing the Avatar 2 review. I think that one, I'll save my thoughts for the review. But yes, this was your Wednesday Rewind review of Avatar 2009. Oh, funny thing about that movie, it stole the name Avatar from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's why the Last Airbender movie, the live action one, is just called The Last Airbender. So thanks a lot, James Cameron. But yes, that is my review of James Cameron's Avatar. If you like this review, please like at the bottom. I don't know if Eddie's gonna be putting this out as a podcast in a podcast form, but just keep a lookout for that. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fernando from the Rollback Podcast, and this was your review of James Cameron's Avatar. Let's cut it.